bestseller in its own right, and the second story in his Hannibal Lecter series. Hollywood had already adapted the first novel, Red Dragon, as Manhunter in 1986, but it was The Silence of the Lambs that exploded into pop culture. The screenplay, adapted by Ted Talley, is a masterwork, stripping down the novel complexities without losing its depth, keeping the tension high and the dialogue unforgettable. Now, the behind-the-scenes stuff? That's just as fascinating. Jodie Foster actually fought to get the role of Clarice. The studio first offered it to Michelle Pfeiffer, who turned it down because the material was too dark. Meg Ryan and Laura Dern were also considered, but Foster persisted. She saw something in Clarice, something worth fighting for. When you watch the film, you see why she was right. As for Hannibal Lecter, Hopkins was far from the obvious choice. The producers wanted Gene Hackman, who was originally going to direct, and Brian Cox had already played Lecter in Manhunter. But when Hopkins got the script, he read it in a single sitting and knew he could do something special. He reportedly based Lecter's calm, precise manner on HAL 9000 from 2001, A Space Odyssey, and a mix of real-life criminals and his own chilling imagination. Shooting the film took place in a mix of real locations and carefully designed sets. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, standing in for much of the American heartland. The Baltimore State Hospital for the Criminally Insane, where Lecter is imprisoned, was filmed in an actual mental hospital, adding to the oppressive, claustrophobic feel. The production design by Christy Z creates an atmosphere that's both familiar and off-kilter. Fluorescent-lit offices, rain-soaked streets, and those stark, dungeon-like cells. It's all there to unsettle you, to keep you just a little off balance. Then there's the music. Howard Shore, who would go on to score the Lord of the Rings trilogy, delivers a soundtrack that is so subtle and insidious, you barely notice how it ratchets up the tension until your heart is pounding in your chest. There's no big, bombastic theme, just low, ominous strings, creeping into your subconscious, heightening every moment of dread and revelation. Cinematographer Tak Fujimoto, meanwhile, does something remarkable with the camera. Dem and Fujimoto use close-ups, so many close-ups, forcing you to confront the characters' faces, their eyes, their secrets. It's an unusual choice, one that makes you feel both intimate and uncomfortable, drawing you deep into Clarice's experience. There's nowhere to hide from the emotions, the fear, the fascination. The lens lingers just long enough to let you soak in every detail, every twitch, every unspoken word. The budget for this masterpiece? Around $19 million. That's right. By today's standards, a modest sum for a film that will become a cultural juggernaut. And the box office? Astronomical. The Silence of the Lambs grossed over $272 million worldwide, making it not just a critical darling, but a massive financial success. But here's what truly sets it apart. The awards. This film did what almost no horror or thriller ever manages. It swept the Oscars. At the 64th Academy Awards, The Silence of the Lambs won the Big Five. Best Picture, Best Director, Jonathan Demme. Best Actor, Anthony Hopkins. Best Actress, Jodie Foster. And Best Adapted Screenplay, Ted Talley. It's one of only 3 films in history to achieve this, the others being It Happened One Night, and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That's rarefied air. It also won dozens of other accolades. The BAFTA for Best Actor, the Golden Globe for Foster, the Edgar Award for Screenplay, and spots on countless lists of the greatest films ever made. But perhaps more impressive is the film's cultural impact. Lecter's chilling fava beans and a nice Kiani monologue have been parodied and referenced everywhere. The moth, Death is Ed Hawkmoth, became a symbol of mystery and transformation, a haunting visual metaphor that stuck in our collective psyche. Of course, no story this dark is without its share of controversy. The film drew criticism from some quarters for its depiction of Buffalo Bill, a transgender-coded villain, which some saw as perpetuating harmful stereotypes. The filmmakers insisted the character's pathology was not a reflection of real transgender individuals. Indeed, the script goes out of its way to state this, but the debate sparked a broader conversation about representation in media. It's a reminder that even great art is not immune to the complexities and responsibilities of storytelling. There were other challenges, too. Hopkins reportedly stayed in character between takes, unnerving even his fellow actors. Foster later admitted she was genuinely scared to perform opposite him. There's a story that during their first read-through, Hopkins stared at Foster so intensely she was too frightened to talk to him off-set for days. That fear? It comes through in the film, making their scenes together electric, dangerous, unforgettable. And then there's a legacy. The Silence of the Lambs didn't just inspire sequels, like Hannibal and Red Dragon or spin-off series Hannibal on TV. It transformed the way we think about psychological thrillers. It proved you could have horror and artistry, scares and substance. It opened the door for films like Seven, Zodiac, and Gone Girl. It pushed boundaries, showing that monsters aren't always outside. They come with a face of civility, intelligence, even charm. The influence doesn't stop at the movies. The character of Hannibal Lecter became a pop culture icon, ranked alongside the likes of Dracula, Darth Vader, and Norman Bates. Anthony Hopkins' chilling, whispery delivery has been imitated everywhere, from The Simpsons to Saturday Night Live. Lecter's cell, the muzzle mask, the glass barrier, all instantly recognizable, all burned into film history. But what makes The Silence of the Lambs endure isn't just the scares or the brilliant performances or even the groundbreaking accolades. It's the way the film makes you feel. It's about the dance between predator and prey, about the cost of empathy, about the power of facing what frightens us most. It's about Clarice, the lamb, finding her voice in the darkness. It's about Lecter, the wolf, watching, waiting, always hungry for the next soul to test. If you love movies, truly love them, you owe it to yourself to watch this film. To see what happens when every element comes together. Script, cast, direction, music, cinematography, all in perfect harmony. To witness a story that makes your skin crawl, your heart race, your mind whir with possibilities. To be reminded that cinema isn't just about escape. It's about confrontation, transformation, catharsis. And hey, beyond all the critical praise, the box office numbers, the awards, let me give you the real reason. It's the experience. That moment, halfway through the film, when you realize you're holding your breath. That chill when Lecter leans in and whispers, "I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner." That mix of terror and fascination, of horror and awe, that keeps you glued to the screen until credits roll. Because some movies don't just entertain, they possess you. They burrow into your memory. The Silence of the Lambs is one of those films. It's not just a movie you watch. It's a movie you survive. So, the next time you're looking for something that goes beyond popcorn entertainment, something that will stay with you, challenge you, even change you, don't just queue up another blockbuster. Turn off the lights, turn up the volume, and lose yourself in the world of Clarice Starling and Hannibal Lecter. You'll never hear the silence or the screaming of the lambs the same way again